In this video, we're going to show you how to pour a colored stamped concrete back patio with rebar included. Please stay tuned until the end so you can see the entire process. What we have here is a 35 by 15 concrete back patio area with rounded edges. It has rebar number 4 at 48 inches on center. And right here close to the edge, we're gonna have a thickened edge so that way they can put posts in this area. And we started prepping the house by putting plastic. We're just taping up plastic all over the side of the house. And also we're covering any vegetation that is close to the house. That way it protects it, especially since we're gonna be pumping this concrete. We have a line pump that we're gonna be using right here. And this concrete has like a dark gray color added to it. So as we're pouring it, we're gonna be lifting up the rebar so that way it's all inside of the concrete area. That will make sure it's extra reinforced. And we're just basically starting right over here at the one corner. And we're starting to hand float the surface. Just starting to work it right there and getting the level to match the top of the foam board. And also to go close to the house, we're gonna have the concrete level be right underneath the siding. So we're just starting to float that area by hand, making sure that everything is nice and level through that area. And then from there, it slopes towards the backyard. So we're gonna be pouring all of the edge right there up against the house first. And we're just gonna start floating it so that way we can get it ready. And we'll be able to start using the screed board. So we have a couple workers right there helping us out with that portion. Just floating, filling it in, making sure that all the concrete next to the house is nice and level. And then from there, we have the screed board. We use that so we can pull the concrete, and that way the level is the same from one end all the way to the other. And this is another angle we have over here. We're just filling in the low spots that we find. Just grabbing the concrete and filling it in there and floating it. Afterwards, we're just pulling the concrete with the screed board. We have an aluminum screed board where we have the, following the level established right here on the top of the form board. And then we also run the screed board on the horizontal side. So first we run it the one way along the house, and then we're also running it the other way as well, so that way we get the level from the house all the way down to the form, the outer form. So most of the concrete surfaces, they need to have a maximum 2% slope all the time, so that way all the concrete slopes away from the house. That's what we have over here. This is pretty much the process. So we're pumping all of the concrete, moving it around with the come-along rakes, and then going right behind it with the screed board. And then once we do all of that, we're gonna use this bull float. So this bull float right here, we use that to float the entire surface immediately after we pour the concrete. This helps us to continue to level up the surface. And we're gonna run this in this direction. And then we're also gonna run it the opposite, the horizontal direction as well. So we can float, have a nice surface float on both sides. And then at the same time that we're doing this, we're also going to be continuing to do the other half of the patio over there using our hand floats. And they're pretty much just making sure that that tool can go right underneath the siding of the house. So the concrete level, it just continues all the way through, stays consistent from one end to the other side. And then from there, they just screed that area. So that way they can have it ready. And as they're pouring the other side, they can go ahead and just continue to screed it. And after they have all that taken care of, then they're gonna run the bull float on the surface. And that's gonna make sure that the concrete is nice, has a nice float all the way through, and then it'll be ready. So we can also tell right here, once you run the bull float, if there's any low spots or anything, you can make sure to just fill those in at that time. So it came out really nice. I could see right here after they went with the bull float a few times, the concrete was looking very solid, very nice level from the one end. They were having some good quality workmanship. So this is the results right here after we already poured the concrete and ran the bull float on top of everything. It just came out really nice. Everything's coming along very well. And another thing we do right away is we run our tool joint. So that's the tool you see right here on that long pole. We put that into the concrete surface, and that creates a tool joint. And those tool joints are designed to try to help control the cracks in those areas. It creates like a weak spot. And then at the same time, we're also running the edger on the entire perimeter edge of the patio. So those are the two things we do right away. We take advantage of the fresh concrete. That's how that tool joint looks right there. Nice and straight, nice and clean. So we have that. That's the first time we give it a first pass. And then this is the edger results. So we ran the edger tool the first time right here. And you can see right there how you have that nice clean edge all along the form board. So overall, very good. Everything's coming along very well. There you see that edger tool that they're using, just running it in small sections right there, just making sure that he puts it into that area. And then another thing too we use is this is the Fresno tool. So this one here, you gotta have some good skill, workmanship to do this right here. You just gotta make sure that you glide it across the surface. You're just letting the tool basically do its job. And what this is doing is, this is also evening it out. It evens out the concrete surface and seals it. So you can see right there after he ran it through, it smoothens out the concrete surface, and even the color changes. So that's the results of how everything looks after we ran the Fresno tool. And there we're also opening up the second tool joint. You can tell right here that the concrete, it has the pores. So this is part of the process as it's drying. This is how everything ends up looking. And then another thing we do as well is we're gonna have a string line right here. We're gonna pull it from one end all the way to the other. And this string line, we're gonna have a tool joint that goes horizontally as well. So we're gonna measure from the house out and also from the other end and get that measurement. Then we pull the string line nice and tight, and then we just snap it, and then it gives us that line so that way we can follow it with the tool joint. So one thing that we found out, we actually double checked the measurement, and the first snap line wasn't accurate, so we had to snap a second line. This one right here, it's the right measurement. We measured it on both edges and also at the center, and so we got this. This line right here is running down the center of the entire patio space. So basically, we're just running our tool joint right there. We have several poles connected to it, and we just follow that string line all the way through. That gives us a really nice straight tool joint. And as well, you know, that's all meant and designed to try to help control the cracks. Even though concrete has rebar and everything, it still cracks, you know, but we do all these measures to try to control it in those areas. So right now we're just floating, we're troweling, we're just getting all the surface ready. Once we do that, then we can go ahead and just start stamping right away, because the concrete is drying very quickly. So we're just spraying a liquid release on the surface and stamping it as we go. This is the results right here of the very first area we started to stamp. And we're starting over here where the sun is, because this was drying a lot quicker. And we're also running an edger tool all along the perimeter. So that way it creates like a really nice smooth border all on the edge. So stamping is pretty straightforward. We just basically put those mats on the surface, and then we pound it in with that pounding tool. So we don't give it a ton of pressure, just enough, you know, so that way it creates the indentation of the stamp. And then once you pull it out, that's the result you get. A really nice, beautiful indentation of the stamp. And then from there, you know, we just move it to the next area where it's gonna be stamping. So we just have the pattern that we just gotta continue to follow. We move them from one to the other, and then we just continue to stamp it. And those are the results. You see how beautiful that is right there. Everything, all the stamp. We have this like a paver style stamp finish with the color added to the concrete mix. So this is the first area over here that was completed with that smoothened edge. And so that's basically the whole process of how you pour and you prep it, and then you stamp the concrete. So we have all those mats. We just basically move as we stamp them, then we move them back, and we just do that until we do the whole entire patio space. So it's pretty straightforward. You know, there's many different stamp patterns, but in this case, this one's very nice for a nice open, you know, patio area here. So once again, this is how we do the entire process, from pouring the concrete with the pump, making sure it has the rebar at 48 inches on center. Then we work the concrete surface. This is the final results at the very end. After we poured all the concrete, stamped everything on the surface, and then this is the day after we came in and removed all the forms, cleaned all the area very well, and we just got to let the concrete to dry and allow the curing process to take place. We hope you liked this video. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, so that way you can see all the videos we will upload in the coming weeks. May God bless you, and we'll see you on the next one.